I can't give you a figure, but when we've been hiking in the area during winter and gone off trail by choice, of course, not because we got lost or anything like that, we found snow to be knee deep. So the landscape does change. It's entirely different. It's a pure white winter fairy tale. The deciduous trees have lost their leaves. The conifers are covered with snow, and the fields are pure white. The deciduous trees are usually, they look like crystals. They've just got ice crystals all over their branches. Snow will stick around a lot longer, or for longer periods here in the valley and Black Forest as opposed to on the Upper Rhine plain. The timber production accounts for burning. The remaining 60%, including good quality logs, are cut into planks at sawmills like this one on the right hand side, intended for the home building and furniture industry or export. The yellow bags you see on the left hand side, or gelbe zakken, include waste that is recyclable. It's obviously recycling waste pickup day here within the Glottertal. Okay, there were no wolves in the country until a few decades ago. The last free-living Eurasian wolf on German soil was shot or killed in 1904. They then started to return back into the country across the eastern border with Poland after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Not because it proved to be a physical barrier, but rather a political one. The animals have restricted themselves mostly to the northern parts of the country. There are currently 35 packs numbering 150 wolves. Then last year there were quite a few articles in the local newspaper of lone wolves that had been knocked over and killed by cars on the Autobahn not far from the Black Forest. So it really is just a matter of time until the Eurasian wolf re-inhabits their natural habitat here within the Black Forest.
There's the dark trees for the Black Forest. Beautiful.
Glorious day with some spectacular views just ahead of us. Side is the tallest peak. You can see some patches of snow far right back. It is a treeless peak with 2 or 3 telecommunication towers above that. Can you see that on the far right hand side beyond the cathedral? That is called the Feldberg. So the Feldberg is the tallest peak within the Black Forest. It is 4,900 feet tall, and it's usually covered in snow for 157 days of the year. Parking off on the left hand side of the road just ahead of us. Here is the farmer's dairy herd, also chewing the cud. Then on the right hand side is the farmhouse. You can see the stables to the bottom right. Then in front of the house is a large green sign with the same red pom-pom hat. It is called a Bollenhut, and the Black Forest Milk Company has used that as their logo. Now the Bollenhut forms part of the traditional costume worn by women from only 3 neighbouring villages within the Black Forest. Despite that, it has become a symbol of the Black Forest as a whole, and so it is often adopted or incorporated into a company's logos. Above the stables to facilitate feeding They simply drop the hay through the floorboards into the feeding aisle. And the roof is used as a garage. If you continue to look around, you'll see the driveway leading along the mountainside directly into the roof where the farmer would park his tractor. Historically, it would have been an ox or horse-drawn cart and wagon. The bell tower just above the roof of these small chapels weren't just used to call for prayer times, but also meal times. They ate as many as 5 meals a day. Park, and that is the reason for no hardened fences along the perimeter of properties. It's also the reason why the farmers are not allowed to fertilize with artificial fertilizers. The lack of hardened fences facilitates the free movement of wildlife and hikers alike. Whilst hiking in these forests, we have personally come across red deer, wild pig or boar, badger, weasel, fox, squirrel, hedgehog and rabbit. There are over 23,000 kilometers or 14,000 miles of interconnected hiking trails throughout the full extent of this forested mountain range. That's enough to wrap around more than half of the equator. On the right hand side are 3 horses grazing in a meadow that is called the Black Forest Fox.
There's snow out there.
Now the fox is different from the Black Forest Fox. The fox is a fox and the Black Forest Fox is a horse. Okay, those horses look a little bit too tender. They are most likely bred for riding. Otherwise the Black Forest Fox, or at least the original breed, is much stockier in the forequarters and around the neck. They were originally bred as a draft horse, previously indispensable for fieldwork on these steep slopes. Okay, so to the front right hand side are 3 buildings. The first 2 buildings are the farm buildings. The farm is busy in his field now. Then the building with the white walls to the far right was a Ferienwohnung. A Ferienwohnung is a holiday accommodation, providing accommodation for tourists going hiking like those on the left hand side, or young families wanting to experience life on a Black Forest farm for a weekend. Fresh oven-baked, stone oven-baked bread, free-range eggs and fresh farm milk is included in breakfast every morning. beyond that is the Lavorge mountain range, forming the western boundary of the Rhine Rift Valley. That city is Freiburg, the largest city and administrative capital in the Breisgau region. We'll be driving through that valley and city on our way back to the ship later on this afternoon. Activity is a short hike into the Black Forest. Gerald will be undertaking or hosting the hike this morning. It's usually about 15 minutes or 20 minutes into the forest and then back again along the same path. So it is not a circular route. Please don't continue hiking thinking that you'll end up back at the Hofgutsternen, because you won't. Purchase one. Then, as I mentioned earlier, there will also be a Black Forest cake presentation.